So hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and today I want to check out the Diriga Sentinel and its weapon, the Vulklok Sniper. You can get the blueprint for Diriga in the market and it will cost you 100,000 credits, and to build it you will have to put in additional 15,000 credits, 600 alloy plates, 2 argon crystals, 350 plastids and 600 polymer bundles. The Diriga comes with 350 health, 50 shields, 50 armor, 100 power, 4 ability polarities and 3 exclusive precept mods. There is Calculated Shot, which just causes the Diriga to shoot at the first enemy it sees. Then there is Electro Pulse, which will zap and stun a target that gets too close to you, and this is pretty good because the Sentinel will keep the enemy stunned until you either move far away or you kill the target. Unfortunately, most of the time when your Diriga is channeling the Electro Pulse and it's keeping an enemy stunned, it won't do anything else. And finally there is Arc Coil, which will zap multiple enemies at once. And I think this one is the weakest because it drains a lot of energy from the Diriga and it doesn't do an awful lot. It deals a small amount of electricity damage with relatively low status chance, so it can stun the enemy, but since it's an electricity proc rather than an actual stun, it doesn't open the enemy up to finishers. The Volkoff sniper rifle deals 85 electricity damage with every shot. It has 35% critical chance, 250% critical multiplier and 25% status chance. It has 10 rounds in the magazine, reload time of 2 seconds, but fire rate of only 0.15 rounds every second. So even though the stats are really good, the fire rate just kills it. Now, I know this is an overkill for most people, but on the Diriga I'm using a 3-forma belt, and what I did with that forma is just added 3 Ds. A lot of people don't know that Sentinels can run more than 4 ability mods, and they work off of a priority system. So here are all the priorities going from 1 to 10, and what this means is if you put an ability mod in slot number 1, it will have priority over all the other mods. And the higher the number, the lower the priorities. So with this setup, the first thing the Diriga is going to try and do is to vacuum things. If he can't vacuum anything, he's going to check my health and see if he can heal me with medi-ray, and if he can't do that, he's going to check my shields and see if he can boost them with the Guardian mod. Now, if he can't vacuum anything, I'm full on health and I have full shields, and an enemy gets too close, he's gonna stun them with the Electro Pulse. And finally, if there is nothing for him to vacuum, I am full on health, I have full shields, and no enemies are in range for Electro Pulse, he's just gonna start shooting at them. And I'm also using regen, and it's in the final slot because when the Diriga is dead, it can't do anything but regenerate, so it doesn't matter that it has the lowest priority out of all the mods. Then I'm using a mod that I simply cannot live without anymore, and that's Animal Instinct because it gives you loot radar. The enemy radar is pretty nice, but the loot radar is simply way too good. Now, Calculated Redirection is pretty weak on the Diriga, but I'm using it instead of Metal Fiber, which would add armor to protect the Diriga from chip damage rather than reducing the damage the Diriga takes, because most of the time I'm not running Warframes that can heal my Sentinels. Now, while Sanctuary is a precept mod, it is not affected by the priority system. And it's unfortunately not very effective with power-hungry setups like the one I'm using, because chances are when you're going to revive a teammate, your Diriga is not going to have enough energy to create a Sanctuary bubble. But it only happens every so often, so I still kept it there because I really like the Sanctuary bubble. And the final mod I'm using is Enhanced Vitality because the Diriga does have a lot of health, and even though my Enhanced Vitality is 1 rank from the top, it still gives him 1050 health. For the Volkoff Sniper Rifle, I'm using a 3-forma belt and I just added 3 Vs. The mods I'm using are Serration for more damage, Split Chamber for multi-shot, Point Strike for critical chance, Vital Sense for critical damage, and this makes it a pretty good crit weapon because it has 87.5% critical chance and 5.5 times multiplier. And then I'm using 3 dual stat mods, so I'm running High Voltage and Malignant Force for corrosive damage and Thermite Rounds for heat damage. And this is pretty good once again because it pushes the status chance up to almost 90%, so with pretty much every shot it will either strip away enemy armor with corrosive damage or make them panic with heat damage. And to make the weapon at least somewhat useful, I'm using Vile Acceleration, which pushes the fire rate to the extreme of 0.285. Now let's not beat around the bush, the Vulklok is bloody useless. It does good damage, it has high crit chance, good multiplier, really good status chance, but the fire rate is just awful. With Vile Acceleration, it will fire once every 3 seconds. And while that would be somewhat okay in a lot of other games, in a game like Warframe where in the span of 3 seconds you can die, revive yourself and die again, it's not good. When it actually fires, it's awesome because it's probably gonna crit the enemy, it's gonna do a truck ton of damage, and it's gonna proc status on them. But then it's down for the next 3 seconds, so get this weapon, level it up for mastery, and throw it away. Use Sweeper or Primed Sweeper if you're running rifles, and use Primed Laser Rifle if you're running shotguns. And unfortunately, the same can be said for the Diriga Sentinel as well. It is just not good. The low shield count makes the Diriga susceptible to chip damage, which is awful because it means he can die in low level low-level missions as well, because as the enemy blow away the shield, they will slowly chip at his health and they will eventually kill him. And the abilities aren't very good either, because you have a single target stun that basically locks your Sentinel and prevents it from doing anything like 80% of the time. You have the AoE Zap, which drains a lot of energy, doesn't do a lot of damage, and doesn't even proc electricity every time. I mean, the abilities are so bad that for a while I was thinking about removing his abilities completely and just running utility mods that every Sentinel can run, so Vacuum, medi-ray, and Guardian. Because all the abilities do is just drain his energy so he can't use Vacuum, medi-ray, and Guardian. That's pretty much it. So the conclusion for the Diriga Sentinel and the Vulklok Sniper Rifle is avoid like the plague. Because at the moment there is just no reason to run the Diriga or the Vulklok, because the Diriga is just a bad Sentinel and the fire rate on the Vulklok just kills it. And that's pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching as always, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.